I have some questions. How does that work? Can you elaborate? Tell me more. How do you even think about that? Where do you start? Hold on, I'm curious. You've got my attention. I'm Erik Berglund, and this is I Have Some Questions. Welcome to Lead with Questions. I'm your host, Erik Berglund, and with me today are Eli Libby and Kyle Nelson, co-founders of ResetOS. It's a clarity operating system for coaches to realign with what they do and why they do it. And at the core of this business is a friendship that's lasted over a dozen years, 5 businesses with a ton of peaks and valleys along the way. And after years of scaling companies and leading teams, they've realized that sustainable success isn't just about what you build, it's how you operate personally. And that's the origin story of their new business, ResetOS. Guys, welcome to the show. Thanks for being here with me.
Stoked to be here, man. Thanks for having us on. Really excited to chat today.
Yeah, well, I know all about it, but take a few minutes and tell the audience a little bit of what ResetOS is, and maybe even give it some of the origin story. Right? I think you have such a cool, authentic reason for this business to exist that we'd be doing them a disservice if you didn't tell that part of the tale as well.
I appreciate that. Yeah, we can start with the story and then we can dive into why we do what we do today. November 8th, 2018, I woke up. It was a beautiful day in the Sierra Nevadas there in California, Northern California, and there was a fire that broke out called the Camp Fire in Paradise, California. And sure enough, it started encroaching on my property and burnt my house down. Burnt my parents' house down, burnt my business down, downtown Paradise, California. And so I was completely devastated. I didn't have a penny to my name at that point because I was struggling financially. Me and my wife had our 3-year-old son. We lost everything. We were homeless. But unfortunately, there's more to that story. The day before that fire, me and my wife had a miscarriage. And so we weren't able to deal with those emotions. We weren't able to mourn. We weren't able to see through that and really get back together as a couple to see how we walk forward, the death of a child. And so what happens when all that goes through in your life, you're not only in a valley, you're digging a trench in the valley. And you just keep going deeper and deeper into a point of suppressing my emotions so bad. April 21st of 2021, I woke up and looked at myself in the mirror and pretty much told myself, that's it. I'm calling it quits. I don't see tomorrow. I was numb. I'd been going to therapists for a while. And sure enough, I had severe anxiety, depression, and PTSD. And I wasn't doing well, and I didn't see the next day. And unfortunately, that typically means taking your life, which is hard to say, but I just couldn't go forward anymore. But luckily, I heard something that just told me to escape, to go to,
Yeah, it's not like in your webcam. I'm not sure what's going on there.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, folks. Had a technical glitch there. We're back.
And luckily, I heard something that told me to just escape, remove the noise that I had in my life currently, and maybe double think what the decision is that I was about to do. And through that, what I did was I escaped to the Oregon coast. I had some journal prompts that my wife helped me with, and I told Eli, and at the time I said, dude, I need to take off for a few days. I need to shut off and kind of just rethink where I'm at in life, because I was at a very, very dark, very deep place. And I came back completely transformed. I had a new identity of who I was to my wife, to my business, to my kids, and really, really had a calling in life on what I needed to do next. And so that was really healthy. And that was the reset I needed in order to just keep going in life. And it really was those 2 days between the fire and the day of April 21st are 2 pinnacle bookmarks in my life that I look at that were transformative in so many different ways. And really, it's all a part of the story of who I am today and how I'm serving other individuals. And I'm going to let Eli take over from what happened a few weeks after my solo retreat. He was actually going through some pretty tough stuff.
Yeah, and this all leads back to the why. Why do we do what we do today? In 2021, I went through a divorce, found I was being cheated on. We almost lost our business. We had to let go of everybody within hours of payroll, and I lost my uncle, all in a span of 2 weeks. So in those 2 weeks, you go through this deep, dark, depressional route. And luckily, again, I think everything happens for a reason. Kyle had gone through his stuff, and he just came back from a solo retreat. He was on a high and really a new identity, like he said. Lucky enough, he sent me off to go on a reset retreat and came back really with a sense of how can we help other individuals going through the same, if not worse, circumstances? Everybody's got a story, and I think it was the moment, and that's where the program is what it is today, is giving people that opportunity to kind of reset and look forward, and that path forward and that path of clarity. How do you find that? And really, it takes removing the noise, removing the stimulus and the distractions, and focusing on who you are and why are you doing what you're doing. And that's really what we do today.
So what does that look like? You both had this couple journal prompts, right? That was the origin story of this, out of some darkness in your lives. And those catalytic moments led to that. But like, how does it manifest today? How does somebody reset?
Sure.
Yeah. Through the past few years, we've had friends, close people come up to us and be like, hey, I saw that you guys took off and you came back. Amazing. Mm-hmm. What did you do? How is it that you take off for a few days by yourself and actually like come back empowered and ready to go? And that's understanding the power of solitude and stillness. A lot of people think you're just taking off and doing this personal retreat, but we actually had a little bit of structure, which was the most important part about us taking off. And now today, through our program, that's what we've created for people. So people can do 1-day solo retreats, 3-day to 5-day solo retreats. And then we have kind of a high ticket mastermind that we do. But in these retreats, it gives you complete structure and a framework, and the questions and prompts that you need to ask, the exercises and activities you need to go through in order to really understand what your identity is, what it used to be, discovering who you are and why do you do things that you do and you operate. You reflect on emotional baggage that you have, limited beliefs you may have. And then the last part of it is you're going to have a complete vision crafting experience. Who do I want to be moving forward? What's the aligned actions I need to take to get there? And ultimately, walking out of this, how do I integrate everything that I've learned over this past few days and really propel it forward to really fulfill what your personal purpose is? And how does that align with your professional life?
That's such a cool experience. I'm so my wife's going through it this weekend. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm freaking terrified to do it. I think I've told you that, Eli, but I have so many moving pieces in my life right now, and we're so all in on some of them that the thought of disruption in that way and discovering that I need to steer differently is just it's literally terrified. Man, I'm not doing that, not yet anyway, right? I will, but I just can't do it yet. I've got to think you bump into an enormous amount of resistance in this concept from people because it is scary to look in the mirror. It's terrifying for most people to think about how often we pick up our phone. I think Kate told me earlier this week, the average person checks their phone 96 times a day in the 12 to 15 hours they're awake. We are pretty terrified of solitude and silence, and sure, you fill it with journal prompts and things like that. But I've got to think you just deal with an enormous amount of fear from people who, like me, I'm not in a bad place and I'm terrified of it. Or if I was in a bad place, I could, see it being even harder to think about. How do you handle helping people through the fear associated with even the concept of being alone with myself for 3 days?
For sure. Great question. And it's something we get literally every day. So you hit it right on the nail. It's like these psychological barriers that we have to break down when interacting with an individual that is fearful of whether it's just being alone too. I mean, that is the number one thing that, according to the Surgeon General, is loneliness, being like the number one cause of death. The stat isn't coming to me right now, but being alone is one of the biggest fears that individuals have. So how do we jump through that? How do we jump through that hoop and break them down? And the biggest part of it is chasing that fear with fear. So what happens if you do not take that step to disconnect? And what happens if you experience burnout? What are the ripple effects of that burnout on not only you, but your stakeholders? So if you're burnt out and you wake up with no enthusiasm, you come home from work with zero enthusiasm for your kids, what does that effect in 1, 3, and 5 years look like? Let's just talk about for your kids with burnout, and you have no clarity and no direction. And you just go with the hum of life. What are the spill-offs of that? So that's a really a way that we just tackle it head on, is approaching it with fear. Who runs faster? Somebody running to a pot of gold or somebody running from a burning house?
I'll tell you, it's burning house.
I shouldn't have put that together. Yeah.
Too soon.
Who wants that?
Holy cow, dude.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was
only been 6 years.
yeah.
And something I want to kind of touch on is you talk about fear, and something we need to understand about fears. A fear is just an excuse we're telling ourselves on why not to do something. And that excuse is just a lie at the end of the day. So if we can understand what that lie is coming from, which is coming from a limited belief that we have about ourselves and something we can't do to get over, that's where the key is. And that limited belief always comes from something in our past. We were programmed for a reason. Something happened to you that made you actually install that into your mind, that you have a fear, a lie. Now it's an excuse on why you can't do a specific thing in your life.
So what were some of the, and I don't mean to probe too deep, so please feel free to only share as much as you want, obviously, but like, what were some of the deep-rooted questions you found yourselves asking on your solo retreats? Like, what are some of the hard to ask questions you had to face up, really face on those 3 days or however long you were gone?
Yeah.
A lot of it's the what ifs. What if I don't do this? What if I do go through that door? What if I do continue forward? What does that look like to the accountability stakeholders I have in my life? What does that mean to my health, physically, my mental health, my spirituality, all different kind of areas in your life, your business? And then there's always the why. Why am I going down this route, right? Well, I need to reconnect with who I am, which you need to do that. You disconnect to reconnect. And then you look at the trajectory of the path that you're on. And there's lots of lists that you create. There's lots of journaling that you're doing. And a lot of times you just need to get it out. And that's why what we're doing is so empowering for individuals versus going to a coach, going to a therapist, is they are figuring it out on their own. They don't have a guide. They don't have someone telling them their issues. You're figuring out your issues, which makes it more real and more attainable to go after, because it's something that you found that you're burning inside you, that you're bringing out by yourself. And when you have that structure to be able to dive into those things, it's really, really powerful.
Yeah. And if I were to add to that too, Erik, for me, and maybe this adds more color, I don't want to interrupt you, but on my retreat, it was, is it me? Like, that was a question I kept asking myself, was like, is it me? I just basically, I lost a marriage. I was cheated on. So is it me? The business crumbled. Is it me? Like, why did we almost lose the business? And I had to look 12 people in the eye and say, today's your last day. And here's your paycheck. We can't make payroll by noon. Like, is it me? Like, that was the question. So it was a lack of self-confidence and a lack of self-belief. Those are the two things that I was wrestling with. And it comes back to a limited belief, like Kyle said. So to answer your question really deeply, was it me? That's what I kept asking myself.
That's good.
Those are incredible questions. I mean, the what if one is something that I think we tend to only look at in one dimension at a time. Mm-hmm. I suspect we've all had some moment where you said, well, what if I don't do that? Or what if I do that? Right. And we run down that road. I think most people have a reasonable ability to forecast one dimension of what if against a reasonable amount of timeline, whatever it is. But to really be forced, by isolating yourself, by being prompted to ask maybe across multiple dimensions, what does happen to my marriage, my kids, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially, relationally, and to really put all of that on the table, that's a daunting exercise. But I suspect a really powerful one, because we tend to make a lot of decisions and we think they're informed decisions after exploring one dimension of what if.
So true.
And in reality, that's only one dimension of it. No wonder we get so many unintended consequences from taking a new job or trying a new business or breaking up with that partner or proposing to that one, or because we just aren't very good at exploring all the dimensions of that. That's a really fascinating one.
Yeah, that's deep. The different dimensions, the different layers are things that I think we're talking about every day when we hear that fear. Like, I'm terrified to do this. Our coach, who had gone through our program, that was what he said. And he said, I'm so reluctant to do this, but I know I need to do it. But I don't want to look myself in the mirror and the different layers that I can see past or what could come up. I don't want to confront that.
Coming from a dude that's done hundreds of thousands of dollars of coaching, therapy, masterminds, retreats, and there is so much power of doing it alone.
Yeah.
Right? It's only conversations you can have with yourself.
Totally.
And that's what's deep. That's what's difficult. But what will come from that, very powerful.
Yeah.
I think if I hear that and I, assess my own fear in this situation, right? My own reluctance to fit this in. Mine doesn't come from a fear of, I'm not afraid to look in the mirror and to, even of what I would discover. It's what it means I'm going to have to do with it.
Sure.
Because I'm scared, not of the look in the mirror part. I too went through a divorce and have done a lot of mirror and soul searching through those hard times. I'm actually really excited by that. That's what intrigues me the most about, that's kind of a cool part of this.
Yeah.
And on the other side of it is going to be a bunch of shit that I already have a complicated life and I have no idea. What terrifies me is coming back and being like, God, I have so much more to do now. Like, this is just much harder than I thought it would be. Can you speak to that a little bit? Not necessarily the fear of what you might find, which is real, I think, for a lot of people, but the fear of the action, the integration, the requirement to square with what you have to do about it.
For
How
sure.
do you think about that?
I'll jump in, then if you want to add something to it. I think we're all, to your point right there, Erik, I think we all feel like we put up so much work. I'll try and tie this all together. So much time and work going down one direction or one path that you think is the right one to do. Mm-hmm. And all of that time, you don't want to feel like it's wasted and having to restart.
Yeah.
So I see where you're going with that, and I would feel the same thing. And I have felt the same thing. And Kyle and I, we went to a mastermind a couple weeks ago, and this will tie in. We were going down this path with the umbrella company, Peak Fulfillment, and we didn't really have a direction, but we put so much time in marketing dollars and advertising, all these things, but we really were beating a dead horse. It wasn't the right path, and we knew that something was wrong to its core. And I didn't want to confront that, man, we're going to have to rebuild the site, redo all the messaging, redo all the imagery, rebrand.
Starting before.
Until I heard it in the mastermind that, like, you guys, this is like not the right target. Like, this is not who you're supposed to go after. You have to figure out your market. And when I heard it from multiple people, I was like, okay, I've just got to do it. We've got to confront, face the fear, and just put the time in, because that small amount of time to kind of redivert and find your new path or take a different trail, it's going to take a little bit to kind of like bushwhack your way to the next trail. But once you get there, you've got a fast track to the peak. And that is where I really had a lot of clarity a couple weeks ago. And that hopefully that kind of ties into the fear of like having to go backwards for a second.
Yeah.
Just to go forward faster.
A lot of times too, it's validation that you are in the right direction. That could be just as impactful, that you're actually validating like, okay, cool. I was able to slow down for a second and like really revisit what I'm doing here to make sure it is the right direction.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, as you're like hustling hard with your business, you're grinding, you feel like you're going, you got momentum. You do get those second guesses a lot, but you don't stop, you don't slow down, you just keep going because you feel like you have so much confidence around that. But if you had that second layer of validation, that can be really helpful to just make sure you are making confident decisions in your business, knowing that this is the path, this is the route that I need to go and stay in.
That's a great point. I suppose one of the limiting beliefs you just uncovered for me was the belief that I am going to find that I'm doing it wrong, as opposed to the potential that I discover like, nope, this is it. Keep doing it. Like you're doing great on that front or something, that is a potential outcome. That's
that'll wipe that second guessing you're having, right? That'll wipe it away. Okay, cool. I went through and did the work. I don't have to second guess anymore because we're always second guess with our businesses and in our life.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Yeah.
That's really good.
The term we use, and it's in some of our new verbiage, but what we talk about when we have conversations is the term realignment or alignment. Like making sure that you are on the right path. You have validation behind whether it's a personal journey or it's a purpose or a calling, tying that with your professional aspirations. Like that is alignment. And if you find that, that's validation for you doing the right thing.
That's a great point. And your example of backtracking made me think of like, well, wouldn't it be nice to you were going down the wrong road before you got too far down the wrong road? Like if you've ever gone down the wrong road before, which again, been divorced, had businesses fail, been down wrong roads. It would be nice to know that earlier in the process. Even if it doesn't mean you take immediate action, being aware that you're not doing the right thing, it will help you steer feel better. All right. Well, that's fear has got to be the number one. I mean, there's logistics, which would be challenging for some people, but I would assume fear is the number one reason people don't participate in your program yet. Yeah. What, who isn't it right for? Like part of knowing something's great is being able to acknowledge that it's great in some contexts and less great in others. Like, who isn't the program great for at this point in your mind?
Yeah. Somebody that is not open-minded and willing to be vulnerable and be wrong. I think people that have an ego typically represent themselves as like, I'm always right. And they're not willing to say, you know what, I am wrong. This is not the path I need to go down. So open-mindedness and open heart to come into an experience like this, I think is somebody that we typically are like, yep, off the charts. I think somebody too that hasn't maybe done any type of personal development or done any type of reflective work. I mean, this is kind of, even though it's a 3 to 5 day retreat, our kind of flagship program, it still is like a gateway into other styles of programs like this. But I think a very bare minimum foundation of personal development helps you be self-aware of what you're getting yourself into. So they don't have that acumen, I would say, typically not a good suit for the program, at least our 3 day retreat. Again, the 1 day retreat's a better entry point to talk to them. Anything else you'd head on?
Yeah, and this is kind of hard to pinpoint who this person is, but someone that seems like everything is going really well, everything is in the right direction, and they seem like they're on cloud 9, eventually they're going to crash. Eventually, something's going to happen where they're not going to be on cloud 9 anymore, and I think people need to go through that adversity to understand where they need to be and what their calling is in life. And I want to say, yes, our program's great for the pre-active of that. Yep. But if you've never, some people haven't really experienced a full hit the ground before. Yeah. And I think it's important to experience that. As bad as that sounds, and it's hard to identify that person, sometimes you're just not ready to go through this kind of work. Yeah.
It's making me think like an enormous number of people our age, right, in their mid-30s to 40s. In fact, almost all of my friends have gone through this moment in the last 5 years where they've arrived at the decided destination they wanted to get to. So house, kids, job, career, right? Some have fallen and bounced really hard. Addiction, divorce, failure in a bunch of ways. Others never have, but all of them, almost without, I think I can say all of them, all of the people that I know and have known for a long time that are roughly my age have experienced some degree of dissatisfaction with where they've landed. Yeah. Some recognition of I'm here. This is supposed to be it. And yet I'm not fulfilled by that. And so while I hear your point, Kyle, of, it's probably easier for somebody to recognize the value in something like this if they have fallen and bounced and gotten back up before. They don't want to prevent that from happening again. I suspect just about everybody who finds themselves at that place of, what? This is what the top of this mountain feels like? I played the wrong game. I'm not where I want to be, and I don't know where I want to be, would probably still find an enormous amount of value in this, because the soul-searching questions that have led, my wife to go do this here next weekend is been going on for a few years with career and kids and life in ways that are, don't necessarily associate with the giant failure or flop. It's just lack of satisfaction. Or do you find that a lot with people, that there's an emptiness in the arrival at the point they thought forever was where they wanted to be?
Stagnation. People that just feel like, this is where I was supposed to be and it's not. I need more in my life. This isn't the destination I was supposed to land at. That is huge. And like you said, you're talking about these age groups and, kind of where people are at in life. It's really a maturity, right? I mean, if you send a college student on this, they're going to be a little lost, although maybe it would help them figure out their trajectory and where they want to go. I think there is this maturity is exactly what you're talking about. And I do kind of actually appreciate the correction in my thought process that you just made there. I think, like you said, I was talking about people that are crashing and burning, and I agree though. Then there's the flip of it, that you said, like, well, these are people that have hit the peak. They've got the money. They've got a great, business, they've got kids, all these different things, a relationship maybe. Yeah, when you're on top, it's lonely, and figuring out what's next in order to fix that's really big. And the questions in our program can address that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hands down, full confidence it can.
I think too, not understanding what success means to them, and then I think that always changes too. But at least fundamentally knowing, like morally, like what does success look like for you? Because the yacht, the plane, like the wealth, you hear it. It's so cliche that like it doesn't cure everything. Like that is not what people find happiness. I don't know if have you seen Enigma, the new documentary with Aaron Rodgers on Netflix?
No, huh?
So phenomenal, by the way. 3-part series, basically is selling our program. In there, part of the episode is, as a kid, I wanted to win a Super Bowl. That was the pinnacle, the top of the pyramid. That was everything. And when I got there, it was like, okay, cool. Like now what? Like now what's next?
Yeah.
And he breaks down like finding your true meaning and your purpose and your calling, and using that as the North Star to success. And I think in the examples we're bashing back and forth is like, what is success to that individual? And to Kyle's point, if you don't know it, the solo retreat and a structure behind that, and double clicking into it helps out.
A lot of people, when they're on their sabbatical, they're trying to figure out
another
that
one too.
Exact thing. We've had several people on sabbaticals go through, and they're like, okay, I actually had a structured, worthwhile sabbatical. Like I actually know what I'm doing now, rather than this stoic 6 months off of trying to figure out what's next.
Sure. Yeah, I can see this being interesting in a bunch of phases of life, right? There is the I'm afraid of, the what if question I need to ask, and I need to alter my course, or I'm coming out of a bad situation where I've fallen and bounced, or I've stagnated. But there also probably is just natural pivots in life too, right? Like I could see we're empty nesters now. My purpose changed dramatically when my kids are out of will change when my kids are out of my house. I could see retirement. There's probably a host of, seasons that individuals go through in their lives where some sort of deep dive like this would be an intelligent way for them to pursue it. That's really interesting.
I think you hit it on the head. It's identity shifts. That's a huge part of we've heard empty nesters a ton. Empty nesters have gone through our program. A divorce is an identity shift. Selling your business, that was your baby. That was everything that you poured into. You were known as the leadership guy, and now that company is gone. Who are you? That identity shift and identity transformation is a great time for people to kind of take a deeper dive inward.
You brought up loneliness a little while ago, and I think it's fair to say there's absolutely a loneliness epidemic in the West, in the United States. And we can look at this through a couple different layers, right? We know men are incredibly lonely, and there's plenty of stats to show that, from suicide rates, depression, anxiety, etc. We see the same thing in teen girls with Jonathan Haidt's work and the Anxious Generation. There's a host of data showing loneliness is on the rise and not going away. And it's one of the worst things that really happens to somebody, is to have that degree of loneliness. And so how do you see a 3-day solo retreat, albeit a lonely experience, but how do you see it kind of serving as an antidote to loneliness for somebody who's gone through that exercise, who's gone through it for 3 or 5 days?
It is having to do that complete mindset shift of you're not going in the difference between being lonely and experiencing solitude. That is what we're delivering. In solitude brings light. It brings answers. It brings the questions you need to unveil. And that's really important. Loneliness, we've all been there. I've definitely been there. I was digging a trench in loneliness because I thought I was alone and the only one dealing with the pain that I was going through. But when I was actually able to escape the loneliness in my mind through a structured approach of saying, okay, how do I actually dig out of this? That's where it came to a very healthy place, because you're right. Loneliness is very scary. And that's something that a lot of books that you could read on solitude, Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday, he talks all about that. Like there's this opposite of, in order to get out of loneliness, a lot of time you need solitude to understand it best. And really that's presenting the structure that we have, so you don't just feel empty. Like, okay, now I'm in this cool spot with a journal, but what am I going to do? Well, we have structure around that to get out of the mind, the turn that you're having, the spinning you're having about X, whatever that is helpful.
Yeah, that's paradoxical. Like that's not necessary. It's unobvious that the solution to my loneliness might require intentional solitude to examine it, so I can take an act. Like that's A plus B does not equal C in the logic stream most of us would have for that, right?
Right. And when you're lonely, you think that the thing you need to do is go out and get help from somebody, which a lot of times it is. Mm-hmm. A lot of times you do need therapy. You do need an external coach. Mm-hmm. But what are you doing after that? You're coming back, right? And then you're bringing it back in again, where if you're just there in a space of uncomfortable and you make that space comfortable through this style of program, that's where there's some breakthrough happening.
Yeah. I think two parts to that. One, coming into loneliness and what you're about to do, going on a solo retreat with intentionality. I'm coming here to intentionally unpack some things and figure out what is the path forward. Pause by myself. Yes, I'm lonely and by myself and alone. But if you have that intention before, it helps that mindset shift with the outcome of what you're trying to get to. And then the other part of that that's kind of unique about our program is after you go on your retreat, we surround you with a community to break that loneliness up and also give you a backboard and a board member of accountability partners to prevent backsliding. Kyle said you're going to come back, you're on a high, and you could slip right back to where you were.
Yeah, right.
A couple weeks later. So what's unique about a mastermind or a community, regardless of the program, is, for our program in particular, everybody's on the level playing field. The ice is broken. Everybody has the same vocabulary, and it creates bond and camaraderie really quickly. And now you have a community, and now you're not lonely. Yeah. But you had to go through that to at least be able to speak that same language with somebody that you never would have talked to before. So we try and blend the two, using powerful retreats and using masterminds.
Powerful stuff.
It's also made me think there's something about the value of the answer being within you that your program seems like it would help somebody find, right? And there's really good work on over-reliance on experts that our generation has embraced, whether it's an over-reliance on therapy, which I'm not knocking therapy. I'm just commenting that there's an over-reliance on other people weighing in on this is your problem, right? In a world of influencers saying, this is what you're missing. This is the key to happiness. It's over here. It's this thing, this product, this solution. When in reality, your program is really promoting some internal recognition that you already know the answers. Yep. You need to be asked the right questions. You need to ask yourself the right questions. But reality is the path to your own happiness doesn't require this subscription or that product or that look or whatever. It's actually deeply rooted in you. And I feel like there's some degree of agency that a person could gain going through something like this that they may have never heard or felt or dealt with before, to really think, maybe I do need a therapist for this solution, for this thing. And then reality is, though, my answer to my problems is probably deeply rooted here, not external. Have you seen any of that internalization happen through some of the people who've gone through your program?
Good question.
Absolutely. We have a gentleman that went through our program recently, and he said he'd done years of therapy. He's gone to all of Tony Robbins' programs. He's gone through all the books, and he realized he was just being sold the shiny object and the path to it. But is that really the shiny object you want? Is it that success? Is it that? Is that what I'm really wanting? A lot of times we have to realign with actually what that success is and what we want. And you have to take a step back and actually move backwards a little bit, subtract to actually have some additional in your life. And through that program or through that process, you're actually saying, okay, it's actually not there. It's actually that mountain way over there that I want. Then maybe I can go check out those other programs, or I check out the therapist, or blah, blah, blah. A lot of times we're just jumping into these because we're just so excited, or we're so depressed we think that this person has the option. Coming from a person that did years of therapy, and it was the most very life-changing for me, a lot of times it is so powerful. Like you said, there's so much agency and understanding that I came up with that. Like it's real and tangible at that moment then, rather than someone asking the right questions and leading you with the right program, or the right course, or whatever that is, or the energy of 30,000 people in an arena. Of course you're going to feel right.
Sure.
So, which we all love. I love that. But it's powerful when you're figuring it out.
I think too on that note, Erik, is if you do take that time to do that inner work and hear it from within, you can maybe align with that product. Yeah, that product speaks with me. Like that's an alignment with what I just discovered about myself.
That's good.
I didn't know that though before. I needed that time and that space to disconnect. And then the other point on that is we all have an inner voice. Like there is a voice inside of us, but with so much stimulus and this damn thing going off all the time and like the laptops and everything, that internal voice is so quiet. And until you shut everything off and remove the noise, it starts to become a lot louder. And that's when the morals and your purpose and your calling start to slide into alignment. And until you shut everything off and create that space and give yourself that permission, that inner voice is still going to be muffled.
Man, what a cool program. I could go forever asking questions about it itself, but I want to zoom out a little bit because you two have a fascinating story for a bunch of different reasons. But your origin stories of this are like 6 years ago, and it's manifesting as ResetOS now. But along the way, you've had a couple other adventures, a couple other businesses, and things that you've succeeded at, struggled with, etc. And you've done it as business partners, and that's something I don't have. I don't have a business partner. I have literally no concept of what it would be like to have this other person contributing their own unique, probably different version of what should be done than mine. And so I'm curious, like, what are some of the hardest questions you've had to ask each other as business partners over the last several years?
Do I or do I not need to kick your butt?
But isn't the answer always yes in that one?
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much always of course.
Yeah, drop kick. Yeah. I think one of the biggest questions. Well, first of all, having a co-founder is everything. It's a godsend, and we get that question all the time. Like, how have you guys
building
done
programs
this?
around it?
Yeah, and it's so powerful to have the yin and yang with somebody that complements what you don't have. So to your point, Kyle and I did a very unique kind of 3-day boot camp. When did we do that? Back call it
2021.
8 years ago.
No.
Okay, 5 years ago, where we spent 3 days at this thing called PSI seminars. And it was this boot camp where they break you down to your pulp and then they build you back up. It was in San Francisco, and we did this kind of as a joint co-founder kind of thing where it allowed us to understand each other. How does he tick? How do I tick? What are his stressors? What are my stressors? How do I present something to Kyle to get it through?
Through his thick skull, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. How does he bend at home versus how does he bend at work? All of these different things. So I got to know him and he got to know me at our very core. So we can turn the ship like a little sailboat versus this gigantic aircraft carrier. We can twist it, we can move, and we can move way quicker. And I think that was the cornerstone to everything.
Yeah.
And then asking each other, like, dude, what does fulfillment look like for you? Like, what is legacy? What do you want to do? Like deep questions like that. Usually it's over a beer or something. And it always, but it comes down to like getting real and getting raw with each other. Like what do you want to do? What does life look like for you? And that's, I think we've moved a lot quicker.
A lot of it just has to do with respect of the relationship versus respect of the business partnership we have is very, very important. Yeah. There's nothing worth what we have outside of, a business, all that stuff, all that's fun. But the relationship we have is really, really close. And we've been able to have that line of respect, when someone's saying something, like see it in their shoes first, right? And see what they're trying to say, even though everything inside me is saying, dude, you are so wrong. It is exactly opposite of what I want.
Yeah.
That just takes maturity and discipline in your own self to be like, no, okay, let me hear what he has to say. I think that it's pretty rare to have a business partner, co-founder, that's your best friend. I don't think it's for everybody. Yeah. I think it can destroy relationships, but you just have to put those guardrails up and understand that we're doing this thing together, which is really cool and really special. And it's to fulfill each other's visions, right? It's more than just like, hey, let's start a business and make money, because we see each other's visions, and that vision has to do, we're both in each other's vision. See what I'm saying? So it's
absolutely.
It's an exciting space to be in, and relationship. Although it drives me nuts, but it's
got it.
You got to jump around.
It's just him. It doesn't go both ways, obviously.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not at all.
I'm glad someone validated that for me.
Yeah. It's totally just Eli. But it is interesting, right? Meeting both of you both introduce each other. Oh, my best friend and business partner. Right.
Yeah.
The first thing you say is my best friend.
Yeah.
And that's to your point, like that's mutually shared as a component of the vision that you're trying to aspire in the direction of. It's not that we are best friends and we're trying to go over there to this other thing. It's like we are best friends and we're trying to go to the place where we're still best friends.
Right.
And along the way, some other stuff is going to happen. And that's a really unique balance. To your point, probably not for everybody. I can think of my best friends. I've been business partners with one of my best friends in the world. Never going to do that again. And he would say the same thing. Unfortunately, we're still best friends. But usually when you lose that amount of money with somebody, that's not the case. Yeah. So unfortunately,
yeah. Sure.
But that is a really unique way to do it. And Eli, I liked your answer, right? In the programs that I run, we call it the rules of engagement. To really try to understand, like, where are you trying to go in your life? Like, what skills are you trying to develop? What experiences are really important to you?
Yeah.
How do you handle conflict? If I had to tell you something really hard to hear that I know is going to piss you off, but I know I need to tell you, what's the right way for me to go about that? And how can I do it so that you know I'm doing it the way you told me to do it, right? Can I tell you to steal third in some way? And remember we agreed this signal meant you don't get to be mad at me for 24 hours? Like, can you build that stuff into the relationships with the people that you have so that you can almost figure out how to fight before you have to have a fight? You know, like the worst time to figure out how to fight with your spouse is in the middle of a hot moment. Like, that's not where you really learn much. But if you talked about, when I'm mad at you, how should I handle that?
Exactly.
Better. It sounds like you guys have done a lot of that work, and all of those questions have been maybe not perfectly answered, but you have a pretty good sense of your rules of engagement, it seems like.
We do. I think we've put in a lot more work than most people in terms of like assessments and like very, very deep, like how, and this is going to relate to you, Erik, is like, how does Kyle lead and how do I lead? And that is a rule of engagement there. If he is feeling, he leads by his gut and intuition. I lead a little bit more analytical, and I need a little bit more time to sit on it. But if he's like, this is the path, like I can feel it, I have to trust that. And then he's doing the same thing to me. But if we didn't do that deep work, assessments and these boot camps and things like that, he wouldn't know that, and I wouldn't know that about him, and we would be conflict. And we have never, for the last 12 years, we've never fought and we've never argued about something. And a lot of people are like, oh man, you need to fight. Healthy fighting. I don't believe that at all. I've gone through a divorce where it was fighting all the time and it ended in a divorce. So I really do not believe in fighting because I believe in respect and trust. And that is what I think we have at the utmost
just, ego
level. Removal. Yeah.
Just remove the ego, man. So that's all it is. And I have to constantly remind Eli about that. It's like,
yeah, right. Kyle wanted, real quick, for the listeners, Kyle wanted a picture of all of his employees, him being held up on a throne with a big old sword on our last office. There's no way that's not ego.
And you're holding me.
Yeah.
You said wanted, like he doesn't still want this as you continue to go ResetOS. I suspect there's still a desire, you know?
Yeah. Well, we're going to keep it pretty lean after some last scars. So then it would be just me in the painting holding him, and that ain't going to work.
Not until we get him out to F3 anyway, you know?
Yeah, there we go.
I knew there was going to be a moment that was going to be plugged.
See, that would be cool. You know, all of us could be holding you up.
Trying to figure out how to work its way into it. For the audience, F3 is a men's fitness and leadership group Eli and do together, but Kyle's afraid of getting up and working out with us. So we'll get him there eventually. So we always are in pursuit of some sort of answers, right? I think that's the origin story of every, frankly, business is some sort of question that goes, I wonder, ... You know, I wonder, better, faster, cheaper tends to be the origin story of a lot of businesses. And we've heard some of that with you guys, right? If I were to paraphrase, it'd be like, I wonder if other people would value solitude so that they can find their own purpose as much as we did, right? That's at the core of the message you guys have shared. But what are some of the other stuff you're wondering about in life right now? What are some of the answers you wish you had? Maybe they're business, maybe they're personal, spiritual. I don't know. It's a genuinely open-ended question on purpose, but like, what are some of the wonders that you still have that you're pursuing?
God, that is a very,
that is probably one of the most powerful questions that
I think we've ever got on a podcast. We've done.
You can build it into your box. I only charge a small licensing fee for the program. It's fine.
Still wondering about. I think everybody deals with imposter syndrome at some level. We interacted in a mastermind with this photographer. He's the best portrait photographer, headshot photographer in the world. Celebrities. He shoots only celebrities, top A-list celebrities. And he told me a story that he was shooting Lenny Kravitz. He was shooting a headshot photo for Lenny Kravitz. And he came over to him, and Lenny looked at the back of the camera, and they were looking at the photo. It was tethered up to a computer. And he said, "Man, Brad, you need to make me look like a rock star." And from that moment on, Brad, the photographer, said, "I now know that everybody has imposter syndrome, no matter how big you are. You need to look like a rock star." What are you talking about, Lenny? You are the rock star.
You walk around Lenny Kravitz, everybody knows you are a rock star. What are you talking about? Yeah.
So for him to say that, I think we'll always wonder, and I will always wonder, am I good enough? Back to what I discovered in the soul retreat. Is it me? Am I good enough? Do people value my opinion? And it's gonna wear off one day, but I think regardless, we all have it hidden, tucked away in a little bin. Are we good enough? And I think that's something that I'll wonder for a while. That's the first thing that comes to mind. That's the first thing that hits my gut.
Thanks for sharing it.
I always wonder about the future. I can't turn it off. It's constant. I wonder if this is the right business. I wonder if this is the right town. I wonder if this is the right people to be around. I wonder if I'm on the right track. And I just shut my mind off and say, okay, if that's enough, I'm not going to know what's happening in 5 years. I can attest to that by everything I've gone through, all the businesses we've done, all the relationships I've had. And I just remind myself to be intentional and in the moment. What can I do today? Right? What is it that today that I can do that will impact what I need to do right now, not 5 years from now?
Yeah.
But I wonder about the future a lot.
Yeah.
Because I always think I have to be doing those things now in order to get to where I think I need to be or what it could be. But which is true. But in reality, it's just be intentional with the moment, man. Be present. Engage with it.
Yeah.
That's always my wonder. It's probably a fear of something going on.
I know this is your show, but let's flip it back to you.
Ooh.
Same question to you.
Yeah, thanks for asking. I have a couple things that I persistently wonder, right? I wonder if I can have it all.
Oh, that's good.
And all is very subjective, right? I don't actually want all, right? Personally, I'm not motivated by, I don't want a Ferrari. I don't want a nice boat. Those things aren't motivating to me. That's not part of my all.
Okay.
Right? But can I really make the amount of money I want to make and live the life I want to live?
So true.
Or is there some inherent roadblock to it? And somewhere in there, Eli, is the internal question, am I good enough to get that, right? If it's possible, that's great. But am I good enough to really do that? Do I have the skills, perspective, attitude, patience, relationships, desire, ambition, motivation, humility, right? The rattle off of all the stuff it takes to really achieve that? That's the thing I think I'm in pursuit of right now. I don't know. I have some data. A shitload of other people are already millionaires in the world. If you were to Google how many people make over $1 million a year, which is not a tremendous amount of money if we're super honest in America. That's an enormous amount of money for somebody who's never made that amount of money. And yet, if you put it in context, you're like, well, a bunch of other people do that.
They figured it out.
Am I really less than those other individuals who've accomplished the things that I desire in life? Well, I don't believe that in the slightest. But I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't have that. So I wonder about, can I really have everything I want in this life? And I suspect the answer is yes. And it requires due diligence and discipline and process and, focus to really go and get it. So that's one.
Wow. That's awesome.
I have two young kids and, they're 8 and 5. And so I wonder a lot about how I am as a father. Mm-hmm. Am I teaching them the things that I think I need to be teaching them? And am I doing it in a way that's going to be received and valued? And similar to your question, or Kyle, there's an element of doubt and insecurity built into that, right? There's an element of, it's not just wondering. It's not just I wonder if that's the case. It's oh man, am I? There's a layer there of self-doubt and questioning as I watch these two humans mature that is a consistent, persistent driver for me to be I don't know. I don't know if I am. And I don't have a lot of data points to say otherwise, but I don't know, man. And boy, the stakes are pretty high, right? I tend to think that the questions we ask, the higher the stake, the more anxiety we get about it. Like,
Absolutely.
Stakes of doing it wrong make me really want more validation than if the stakes were lower. So those are two that can I have it all? And am I doing it in a way that turns those two little humans into the amazing creatures they can be, that really empowers them to go live the lives they want to live? Those are two for me.
That's awesome.
That eats me alive, man. I'm always constantly thinking if I'm doing the right things with my kids.
Yeah.
At the same age, 5 and 9, am I being the role model they need to be, that they need to see?
Yeah.
It's hard.
That would be
an internal driver for sure.
Yeah.
It's coming up for you there, buddy, as well. So
that would have been my second one. That would be my second one, is like, will I be a good dad?
Yeah.
Like, will I raise a human? And we met somebody in the mastermind last week that said world impacting family. Like, that's one of his core values is, 9-figure tech company.
It's on LinkedIn. It's like
9-figure tech company. He was an American Ninja Warrior.
Marriage,
solid marriage,
a life-changing marriage, a world impacting family, and 9-figure tech entrepreneur.
Like, that was his core values. Those were his pillars. And when he said world impacting family,
Huge,
I just thought about you with like, am I creating these two little girls to be world impacting along with Kate? And you?
Wow.
And you. God, here we go.
Guys, I know we're out of time. I do appreciate a ton you taking the time with me. I can't wait for more conversations. I'll be honest. I'm going to see if I can do my 3-day solo retreat in May now. You have helped me think through the fear side. I logistically don't know if I can, but I think there's a weekend where I can. And
love hearing that, man.
You know what got me over the hump was literally the two analogies. One, if you're marching down the wrong road, wouldn't you want to know sooner, even if you can't fix it right away? And two, what if you're marching down the right road? Wouldn't that be cool to not have the anxiety over it? So it's like, shit. All right, I suppose I should probably just go do it. And plus my wife's going to tease me if she's done it and I haven't yet. So she's going to bully me on that one for sure.
For sure. That was part of the sales plan.
Only if you knew what I went through, Erik.
Exactly. But look, you guys are inspirational humans. You're doing incredible things for people. Where can listeners find you? How do you want them to reach out or connect with you?
Thanks for asking. 2 places. LinkedIn. Type in Kyle Nelson, Eli Libby. There's a couple Kyle Nelsons out there. There's only one Eli Libby. So add us on there. And then, of course, go to resetos.co. And you can sign up for our weekly Reset newsletter or take a clarity assessment and reach out to us.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Well, I'm going to put both those in the show notes. I'll see you guys soon. Thanks so much for taking the time. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Thank you, Erik. That was awesome, man.
Cheers, fellas. Thanks for giving the episode a listen. If you liked this episode, make sure to click the follow button and come back every week for more. And also share it with a friend. And if you'd like to be a guest, or if you have ideas for the show, or if you have questions as well, email me at hello@languageofleadership.io. I'll see you next time.